I want to ask you about Othello and specifically Iago. The whole play obviously turns on the way that Iago creates this extraordinary, awful jealousy in Othello. What is it that motivates Iago? I think Coleridge famously said it was a motiveless malignity. Do you agree?
I don't agree with Coleridge. It's a wonderful phrase, the idea of imagining a character who does terrible things for no reason at all. I actually agree rather more with Coleridge's great rival critic in the early 19th century, William Hazlitt. What he said is that what motivates Iago is the desire to make mischief. He says Iago, he's almost like a playwright, that he thinks, it would be kind of fun to set up a plot and to work it through. He's like the writer and the director of the play itself. He loves setting up a dramatic situation and seeing how it works out. And I think that's one of the reasons why Iago is such a beguiling role for actors to play, because he is a great actor. He plays a part. He loves to manipulate. So I think pleasure in playing is itself a kind of
So he's creating a drama.
He's creating a drama, exactly.
You could argue, I suppose, that he's helped a bit by Desdemona, who doesn't exactly behave very tactfully, does she? I think W.H. Auden said she was just a silly schoolgirl with a romantic crush.
Yes, I don't agree with W.H. Auden about that. After all, this is a woman who is the daughter of a senator, so that means she's one of the most high-class, most sought-after women in Venice. And she makes the bold decision against her father's will to marry, and then not just marry, but effectively go off to war with this outsider. An extraordinary rebellion against what would be expected of her. Great bravery. She's a great user of language as well. There's a lot of quite flirtatious banter at various points. That she's very much her own woman. But you're right that she doesn't exactly help matters, because she does have that unfortunate tendency to keep coming back to the question of Cassio, often at exactly the wrong moment. And for someone with perhaps an insecurity that leads to a predisposition towards jealousy, she does have a little bit of a way of putting her foot in it. But that's the irony of the tragic situation that Shakespeare loves to explore.
Why does Othello fall for it, this trick? I mean, is it because some suggest that he doesn't really love Desdemona at all, he just loves himself? Or is it because Iago is so clever? Why does he fall for it?
I think it's because Iago is so clever, and because Othello feels very vulnerable. Because he's a racial outsider, because he's effectively a kind of mercenary in the pay of the state. He is not a free citizen. He's also conscious of his own age. I think he's obviously spent his career in the army. There's a lot of talk about that. He's been in that all-male environment, so he's pretty insecure around women. He can't quite believe his luck that he's managed to woo Desdemona, the most desirable woman in Venice. Iago is absolutely right in saying Cassio, the handsome, smoothly spoken Cassio, would be a much more obvious person for her to fall in love with. So he's insecure about his age. I'm declining into the vale of years. He may even at some level be insecure about his sexual potency, that he has, as it were, military potency, but he is not skilled in the arts of courtship and of love. Iago plays on all those insecurities.
And of course the marriage is probably never consummated, is it?
Well, that's the thing. It is very striking that every time they seem to be on the brink of consummating the marriage, there's some kind of interruption.
Yes. What view of character, human character, is Shakespeare giving us in this play? After all, Othello changes really from one thing into something completely different. It's as if Shakespeare's suggesting that in all of us we can be destroyed by somebody like Iago.
I think Shakespeare is really interested in the way that human character, human psychology, is a constantly evolving process. One thing that's very striking about a number of Shakespeare's plays, including Othello, is that the stories that they're based on Remember, nearly all Shakespeare's plays are adapted from pre-existing stories. The stories they're based on very often have a very single, clear motivation and explanation for what people do. In the story that Othello is based on, Iago's motivation is simply that he's in love with Desdemona himself. So of course he wants to destroy the general and the lieutenant. Shakespeare removes that kind of predetermined motivation. And what he shows you instead is how human behaviour evolves through particular experiences and encounters. In a sense, the reason Iago is so effective is that he creates these situations, and that then creates Othello's jealousy. Othello's character unfolds in the process of the telling of the story itself. Character is process rather than something that is preformed. And that's why the plays are so fascinating to watch, and why, as you say, people seem to be different at different points in the play.
Yeah. How important is race? For a long time, this was a play seen as mainly about jealousy. Nowadays, much more is seen about race. Do you think it's overdone there?
I do think it's rather overdone. I mean, one of the great things about Shakespeare is that there's so much in the plays that new dimensions of them become apparent at different moments in history. But because questions around racial equality, questions to do with the effect of the end of empires in the second half of the 20th century. For all those reasons, the race question became the leading preoccupation of stage directors and critics in the second half of the 20th century. Quite understandably, in that historical moment, it ceased to become possible for a white actor to black up and play Othello. But I think the effect of that is that it's overemphasized one particular dimension of the play. In the end, this is a play about marriage and sexual jealousy, and the insecurity that Othello feels because of his race, because of being an outsider, is secondary to that. The play speaks to all of us, to anybody who's been in that experience of sexual anxiety, jealousy, love affairs, all that. It's not just about race.